Yes, it's John G. Sutton here. Tales from the jails. But I talk today about a number of things, but first of all, His Majesty's Prison Shotts in Scotland. A report today, which you probably see on the BBC site or whichever news you take, about a prison officer, a female prison officer by the way, in a male prison, HMP Shotts, where an inmate that she'd formed a relationship with. It's nice and sweet to think that, isn't there? That true love will find a way. Except that this true love was with a man convicted of murder, serving a life sentence at HMP Shotts, and he persuaded her to start smuggling drugs and bringing him mobile phones, SIM cards, etc. And she went one step beyond the normal course of duty here. She didn't just leave it at that. She was bringing in drugs and handing them to other inmates who were holding them for her lover, you see. And he was dealing with the drugs, but using other inmates to carry the drugs and secrete them in their cells. Yeah. It's difficult to find. If you put your mind to it, you've got all day to think about where you're going to hide drugs, and you've got nothing else to do, then you can come up with something, you know. You come up with a way to hide it. Believe me. And where do they hide the cell phones? I believe that, they're not very big. Some of these cell phones are only quite small, the size of a matchbox or just a little bit bigger than that. And from what I'm led to believe, they secrete them about their person. You can probably use your imagination to think where they might secrete them, It won't be behind their ear, will it? No. Anyway, so yes, this young, she's 31 years old. She's got 2 children. She's a single mother. She's been working as a prison officer at HMP Shotts. Her name's Heather, by the way. Nice name for a prison officer, don't you think? Your hostess with the mostess is definitely Heather. Today she's bringing in cocaine. That's what she was bringing in, cocaine and Ben's cocaine, whatever that is. I don't know. Never had any cocaine. I've had heroin. I've had a few shots of heroin, but only when I've been in hospital in serious pain following serious operations on my person. And the last time they said, we're going to give you a shot of heroin. I said, no, I don't want it. When I was conscious, I wouldn't have it, you see. If I'm unconscious and I'm on the operating table, where I have been, and they shoot me full of heroin, nothing I can do, is there? I'm out. But if I'm awake, then I won't have it. No. Seriously, I declined it. The doctor said, he said, do you know how much this is worth on the street? I said, I can't take it. I said, I have experienced heroin, and it just makes me feel like I'm not in control, and I don't like it. Because it made me feel like I was floating just outside my body, So I'm not have that. No chance. Anyway, this prison officer at HMP Shotts, she's going up before the Crown Court for sentencing in February of this year, so next month she's going up to be sentenced, and quite likely she'll get a couple of years. I mean, this is going on all over the place. Prison officers, female prison officers, are being entrapped and manipulated by alpha males who are in the prisons, and they've no real input there. I mean, I know that we've all got to work for a living, and if that's what they decide to do, then they should be able to do it. But the problem is that the inmates just ain't. If they'll try and bribe me, which they did, and they'll try and bribe aggressive male staff, which they used to do, then they'll certainly find a way to bribe vulnerable young women, which they did with this lady, which would have ruined her life. Her 2 children will have to go either to relatives or in care, and she's going to get certainly I would think, a couple of years in prison. But she's going to have to go on Rule 43. That's application to be segregated from the rest of the prisoners, because they'll definitely have a go. And they will know that she's, because a picture is all over the place. So she's going to face a great deal of trouble. So that's what's happening in HMP Shotts. I mean, that's just one case. There's cases all over the UK. Female prison officers being entrapped, manipulated and persuaded to either have sexual relationships with inmates, because they believe, that he loves me, These people, they'd say anything, and the women are vulnerable. Well, I believe she's going to get some time, and that's a damn shame for her. It's really the system that is wrong. Also, now, all those who think this is a controversial subject, had a note from somebody called Mr. Boots, who said that observations about transgender inmates and all that was potentially against the, I don't know, some kind of what law that they brought in, I don't know. But listen, in Scotland there is a massive outcry because transgender males are being located in female prisons. And there's a report today, if you have a look out, about male inmates who are classifying themselves as transgender, being held in female prisons and using the same shower units as the female prisoners, and walking round ready for action. You with me? In the shower block, stark bollock naked, ready for action, I mean, they've run the flag up the mast, so to speak. That's a euphemism, by the way. Euphemistically, of course. They weren't actually running the flag up the flagpole, no. Running something else up, yeah. But that's what's been happening, and females are complaining. They say they feel extremely vulnerable because a number of these transgender males are violent. They've got convictions for violence against women. It's a weird world. Anyway, the Scottish National Party and all that are they've set up a committee to look at this, so that they're doing an investigation into how to deal with transgender inmates. Something I didn't have to deal with in the 70s, Not at all. I mean, obviously, one or two inmates did start playing games like that. I previously mentioned Peter Cook, the Cambridge rapist. He was trying to transition into a woman. Attempted to jump on me and smother me with kisses. I introduced him to the cell door, head first, gently, of course. Yeah, gently, and he'd run the flag up the mast as well before he did that, which wasn't a very pleasant experience. I can tell you that. Also, if we look at the news today, a 46-year-old police officer in Dorset has just been arrested and charged with sexually molesting females, raping females. It's rife, isn't it? And they say that in the Metropolitan Police there's a paedophile ring, wasn't there? That chief inspector terminated his existence when he was about to be charged. What in the world's happening, yeah? So anyway, that's my little rant for today. You have a look it up, HMP Shotts in Scotland. What next? What on earth next? Anyway, somebody suggested I sing this because it would be appropriate to the subject matter. So I had a look and I think I can do it. Yeah, this is a song by Johnny Cash. It fits in with the subject matter of my little rant today. This is a boy called Sue, yeah? Are you sitting comfortably, Larry? I'll bet you're not. You're agitated now, I can see that, yeah. Reaching for the wellies. You've got Adidas wellies, haven't you, Larry? Yeah, speed wellies. Because the goats can run a little bit. But Larry catches them. Yeah. You don't dress like a goat, do you, Larry? To attract the billies. Anyway, here we go. Well, my daddy left home when I was 3, and he didn't leave much to me, except this old guitar and an empty bottle of booze. Now, I don't blame him, 'cause he run and hid, but the meanest thing he ever did was before he left, he went and named me Sue. Well, he must have thought it was quite a joke, and it got lots of laughs from lots of folks. It seems I had to fight my whole life through. Some gal would giggle and I'd get red, and some guy'd laugh and I'd bust his head. I tell you, life ain't easy for a boy named Sue. Well, I grew up quick and I grew up mean. My fists got hard and my wits got keen. Roamed from town to town to make my name. But I made me a vow to the moon and stars. I'd search the honky-tonks and bars. I'd find the man who gave me that awful name. Well, it was Gatlinburg in mid-July, and I just hit town. My throat was dry. I thought I'd stop and have myself a brew. An old saloon on a street of mud. There at a table dealing stood sat the dirty, mangy dog that named me Sue. Well, I knew that snake was my own sweet dad from a worn-out picture that my mother had, and I knew that scar on his cheek and his evil eye. He was big and bent and grey and old, and I looked at him and my blood ran cold, and I said, "My name is Sue. How do you do? Now you're gonna die." Well, that's what I told him. Well, I hit him hard right between the eyes, and he went down, but to my surprise, he come up with a knife, cut off a piece of my ear. But I busted a chair across his teeth, and we crashed through the wall and into the street, kicking and gouging in the mud and the blood and the beer. I tell you, I fought tougher men, but I really can't remember when. He kicked like a mule and bit like a crocodile. I heard him laugh, and then I heard him cuss, and he went for his gun, and I pulled mine first. He stood there looking at me, and I saw him smile. He said, "Son, this world is rough, and if a man's gonna make it, well, he's gotta be tough." And I knew I wouldn't be there to help you along. So I give you that name, and I said goodbye. I knew you'd have to get tough or die, and that's the name that's helped to make you strong. Yeah. He said, "Now you just fought one hell of a fight, and I know you hate me, and you got the right to kill me now, and I wouldn't blame you if you do. But you ought to thank me before I die for the gravel in your gut and the spit in your eye, because I'm the son of a bitch that named you Sue." I got all choked up, and I threw down my gun, and I called him Dad, and he called me his son, and I came away with a different point of view. And I think about him now and then, every time I try, and every time I win, and every time I shot the son of a gun. That name. And if I ever have a boy, I'm gonna name him Bill, George, anything but fucking Sue. There you go. A boy named Sue. Did you like that, everybody? Well, don't forget to get my book. Yeah. Tomorrow night, we've got 7 p.m. We're having Q&A here. Yep. And we'll speak soon. Speak tomorrow, yeah? You'll be here.